Being poor, just like being rich, is your choice. You choose what city you want to live in, what job you want to have, and how you want to spend your free time. But there are actually a few different types of choices that you make every single day that the Millionaire Fastlane talks about and that I will tell you in this video. But one key factor that I will tell you about in the end of the video will determine whether you have any way to change that or if you're in too deep and there is nothing you can do at this point. I love this quote from the book that describes that. Your life is the sum result of all the choices you make, both consciously and unconsciously. If you can control the process of choosing, you can take control of all aspects of your life. You can find the freedom that comes from being in charge of yourself. And that quote is actually by Robert F. Bennett. I feel like my first reaction when I read that chapter was to protest. I didn't have a choice of living here. My parents moved to the city when I was very young. I couldn't have done anything about it. They're the parents. But really, it was my choice to stay here, especially past graduating college. I could have gone anywhere else, but I chose to stay in the same city because it was easier. Same goes for literally everything else. I chose to have a job that I do. I could have been an Uber driver with the flexibility of work, but I chose to have a stable paycheck, and that required me to go in the office from 9 to 5 every business day. We make hundreds or thousands of choices every single day. Some not so significant, like, what to wear to work or where to get lunch during work. And some much more significant, like listening to an audiobook on your way to work or going to the gym after work or spending time watching TV. And when stringing all the choices that you make along for a week and a month and a year, that makes up your reality today. But if you're watching this video, that is one brownie point for the day. You're looking into how to, become rich. Now the next question is, what are you going to do after this video? Are you going to just keep on watching more YouTube videos, or are you going to go and spend some time on your side business? Let me read another quote from the book that I really like about this. Determination is not a solitary choice, but thousands of them. You cannot decide to be determined. It must occur repeatedly, concretely, and with commitment. That is why being rich and being poor is your choice. You made enough choices to put you in a spot where you are right now for the past of your life. But the good thing is, you can make an executive decision right now to make better choices. Better choices like every day for the next year, or just starting today, every day. Start doing one thing a day to get you better, and better do 10 things a day. Listen to audiobooks, go to the gym, maybe wake up 2 hours earlier before work that you can spend time to put into your side hustle before that energy gets drained in your actual day-to-day work. Spend your lunches at work reading books, getting new skills right after work. Maybe go to a community college to sign up for another course of coding that will get you to make your own website and will get you to break out of the need to go to your job every single day. And for that, you also need to make sure to avoid another type of choice that the author of the Millionaire Fastlane calls the treacherous choice. You know the type that gets irreparable harm to your life, your dream, and your goals, the consequence of which you might have to deal with for the rest of your life. And in some cases, you might actually never recover to get to a better spot in life. So what is that choice? There's actually, let me tell you this example to paint that picture. imagine yourself or somebody, let's say, named Alex. They have a really good career and, a 9 to 5 that they make 150K a year. So they really do have an amazing life. They have an amazing partner that also has a career. Their finances are going in order. They have children growing up and they're really good parents and everything seems perfect. But then one day Alex does something that he doesn't typically do. After going to a happy hour with his office, he thinks, what, I only had 2 drinks. It's not a big deal. Let me just drive home to my beautiful wife that I love so much because, I'm okay. And thinking I'm okay in that moment, that's what the treasonous choice is. Because what ends up happening that Alex starts driving and gets into a car accident and who knows, maybe gets paralyzed for the rest of his life, which changes everything. And even if that wasn't the case, and let's say a better outcome happens, he gets pulled over by police and gets a DUI. That is a much better outcome, but then you realize that in some countries and some states, that gets never taken off your record, and you get a felony pretty much for the rest of your life. Now that will impact your employment and all the future choices you have to make. And even if you don't typically do something like that, just doing it once can really damage your life. Same goes with speeding. When you're on a highway and you see somebody with a nice car and you just decide to challenge them to a race, well, those things can also have consequences that you may never recover from. And that is the treasonous choice. Something that may ruin your life, something that doesn't make sense doing. You just need to ask yourself these questions. What is the gain that I get from doing this? Driving while drunk. I get home to my wife. Well, could you have taken an Uber? Because the downside of that choice is losing your life or getting paralyzed or something. You have to ask yourself, is it worth living with the downside? And if the odds of, gain are very little while the downside is huge, then don't do it. It's not worth it. Now, one of my favorite principles about choice is the butterfly effect. And that comes in with bad and good choices. When we're talking about treasonous choice, one choice can lead to a huge outcome to the rest of your life. The butterfly effect pretty much says that one decision can make huge impact. The good thing is it also comes into effect towards your good choices. So for example, one thing we know is networking or just meeting people. You can meet one person in a coffee shop that can offer you an amazing job that can lead to the better life in general. So one positive choice as well as one negative choice can really impact the rest of your life. It actually happened to me recently where just getting myself out there and meeting new people led to them talking about me with some other people that I would have loved to meet. Even though I didn't have access to them, they did. They talked about me and all of a sudden, in a full circle, it just came back to me. And it started from me making one little choice to talk to that one person. So just remember that as bad choices can go exponentially in a butterfly effect, so do good choices. It all depends about the choice that you make. Another choice that is actually detrimental in your life is who you keep around yourself. So your friends, your network, and your partner especially. The easiest is the network. If you don't like the people you are around with right now, they're not really business minded. They don't want to get out of it. They love their 9 to 5. They don't really want to have their own business. Well, put yourself in a group of like-minded people that keep on having you grow instead of just staying the same. So for example, if you decide to work out every day, after work, you could make friends in the gym. That will be your new network of people that will motivate you to come to the gym and see them every day. Or let's say your old life, your old friends instead invite you to a barbecue and let's eat a lot of chips and drink, and why go to the gym, why bother? So that is going to be your choice of who you keep around yourself, which will lead to big things in your life. But the biggest one of all of them is your partner. The partner that you have will determine what do you eat when you go out to eat. Do you get something healthy or do you get something unhealthy? And even though your friends can impact your choice maybe once a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, your partner impacts your choice every single day because you decide what to eat with them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Same goes as even if your partner does not want to participate in bettering themselves, are they supporting you? Or are they saying, you will never achieve that? What are you even working on? That is stupid. You're just wasting your time. That can come from a partner, that can come from a parent, but having somebody around you like that keeps on throwing these negative things into your mindset is very detrimental to your growth. So that is something to really pay attention to. Now, the key component that really will determine whether this all video mattered or not. And for some of you that do have this component, it will be very inspiring, but for some of you that don't have this component, it might be a little disappointing. Well, the key component is time. The question is, do you have the time to grow? And I don't mean the time in your day-to-day, after work, that type of time. It's really how much time do you have in your future life. So for example, if you're 20, you probably have 40, 60, 70 years to go. But if you're in your 50s, you might be, only 20 or 30 years left. And the reason why it's so important is if you start a tiny healthy habit in your 20s, that will have, exponential growth to your 60s. Compared to if you start a healthy habit in your 50s, you will have to have a much greater healthy choice to be made in order for it to have the same impact, or it may never even have the same impact. The one example most of us have heard of is compound effect. If we invest, $100 into an index fund starting at the age of 20 versus starting at the age of 50, and we go until retirement age of 65 or around that, if you started putting in $100 at 20s, that will grow into being millions. Compared to if you started putting in $100 as if when you're 50, it will only grow to a couple 100,000. And that is all due to this compound effect. Or another example I can give you, when you are golfing and you have great distance between you and the goal. If you deviate the ball 1 degree isn't that much, right? But the longer the distance it goes, the 1 degree makes a huge difference. While if you're close to your goal, 1 degree might not make such a big difference. And the reason why it matters is because when you want to turn around your life, full 180, change it greatly, the younger you are, the more power you have behind that. And the older you are, the harder you have to work to get the same outcome or lesser outcome. And one of the best decisions that you can make for yourself is actually subscribing to this channel, because I will be making more videos like this to help you live the life that you want. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really enjoyed making it, and if you had any value, again, subscribe and comment and like down below. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.